I'm back! Rock and roll, Egnater. Do you know, I had an Egnater Tourmaster some years ago, 2 or 3 years ago, maybe 4 years ago, and I did a review of it on my website, www.mckenzie.com. Most people know it if they've been there, nobody knows it if they haven't. The XFX guys have been there thousands of times. Anyway, let's get rid of the joking. Egnater. I used to have a Tourmaster, if anybody's seen one of them. I had a head, Tourmaster head. Great big thing, American. And at the time, you wouldn't believe this, but I was going to import an Egnater and sell them to you. Now you might think I'm kidding, but I'm not. I'm dead serious. And the problem was, at the time, and I stress at the time, the dollar fell through the floor to 137 to the pound. Now that's not bad. It's crucifixion time. So needless to say, I called Mr. Egnater back, not the one you know, not Bruce, the other one, and said, listen, I'm not going to do it because of the costs, and you know, who wants to buy a Chinese amplifier for £1,300? A regular 100 watt Chinese amp for an equivalent £1,300, £12.99. By the time you've added the VAT on, the shipping on, it weighed a ton. Honestly, it weighed a ton. So I gave up with all that and thought, I'll leave the others to do it. And sure enough, they did, but I don't really think they sold that many at the time. I bought mine in America, and it was cheap. Yeah, it was about $1,000 at the time, or something around that. So that was an equivalent before the crash, just before the crash, of about 700 quid all in. Great amp head. But turning 700 into 1,300 wasn't my idea of fun. So I'll let it fly. Anyway, Tourmaster, great big heavy thing. And I'm glad to see that Egnater have changed the ways somewhat. Well, actually they haven't. The Tourmaster's still available from what I can see. Well, hold on a minute, let's have a look at what else they've got. I'm always thinking about guys that don't play in stadiums. Yeah? You've met them, the ones that do, haven't you? Ask your mate, he'll tell you. A stadium every night. 50 states, or God knows how many counties here. Well, in either case, it's not quite true usually. You know, they do play around, but it's usually down a local pub. But we can't do that anymore because the pubs are gone. However, it's all good fun. So I thought, have a look at an Egnater Tweaker 40. Oh, what's that about? Oh, I should have one of them THD things, you know, Univalve. That was quite nice, until they sold it off to somebody else. I don't know. Sort of sold the idea off at least. But we're left anyway with a tweaker. And what's good about this is, well, I better be careful. I just bought this second hand. It's not a new one because it keeps coming out of my pocket and you keep gaining from it, right? Rock and roll. It's the cheapest way to do it, I think. Now this could be one of them sleeper amps that I was talking about recently in one of my other videos, but then again it may not be. It might be a great, it might be a great amp. We shall see, you mark my words. But the idea is that you got this 40 watts and you've got all these little things on the front you can tweak. Great name, Tweaker, let's call it a tweaker. So they did. What a fantastic idea, especially when you made one, isn't it? One of the biggest problems you can ever have with one of these amps, don't look, it's on the top. It's been lying there for a few hours having a warm off the tubes. And you know, listen, I like animals. Well, not that one. Yeah, that's got it. It's dead. So if any of you possum loving guys over the water, or Australia, don't forget them boys, or Fiji, I have some viewers from there, you can believe it or not, or Japan. No, Japan doesn't have these, does it? Oh, it does, it makes them, sorry. But let's be serious for a moment. It's quite a nice looking amp. I'm impressed with this one. I mean, let's drag it down a bit. Can you see it better now? I can. The thing is about it, it's got two 6L6s in it. Only goes to 40 watts, which is nice. Don't want it too loud, do we? Like in the bedroom or in the little studio or in even your living room if you can convince your wife. It's good, it's great. And it's got a bit of weight to it too. And for the money I paid, well, it's about the going rate, actually, what I paid for a second-hand one. And he bought it from somebody second-hand, and maybe nobody likes them. I don't know. We're going to find out. You've got a load of stuff on the front, you've got a load of stuff on the back. But what we're going to do, as usual, firstly, so let's take a look inside and let's have a look where this one came from, because the Tourmaster, believe it or not, one thing I wasn't keen on was that Chinese PRC thing. Come on, 1,300 quid. Well, that was the price that I had in mind by the time the dollar had been thrown against the wall by the bankers. If you're a banker, get out of here. So I'm going to take the chassis out now, and then we'll run through it as we normally do. Oh, it's exciting. See you in a minute, let me get it out of there. Well, there you are, I've whipped it out, so they say. It's a bit dusty, and you had to take the two big tubes out, or valves as you say in England, before you could get the chassis out. How weird. And it's all dusty because the previous owner didn't clean inside. Well, you could hardly expect him to. But I've got a great solution. I knew it'd come in handy one day. There you go. I knew you had a use, dude. I just knew it. When I bought you from that pound shop, dollar shop, 99-cent shop, call it what you will, I knew he had a use. Get out of here. Now then, looking at this chassis from above, I haven't been down underneath yet. It looks quite nice actually. What you got? You got two Egnater 6L6 GC MSTRs, two of them. They're ruby tubes, by the way. Not too bad, some people say. And they're pretty well matched, aren't they? Let's have a look at that. 3050, 3050, they're exactly matched. That's nice. And you've got three other tubes here, preamp tubes, which comprise of, let's take a quick look, Egnater quality tested, tung sol, made in Russia. Well, the made in Russia ain't bad. Some of them tung sol tubes are actually very expensive these days, especially if you get the old ones. Wow. 0411, April 2011. Maybe 3 years old, so what? Doesn't matter. Look back. It's like a lid on. I'm confident the others will be the same. So let's not worry too much about tubes. Tung sol are good. Ruby tube's not bad. Power tubes, you know, it's not bad. Not bad all round by the sound of it. Let's have a look what else we got on the chassis. On the top, that is. Well, you've got down there a couple of sockets for the big fat tubes, which are actually mounted onto the chassis by the look of it, but we'll see later. Then you've got these two big fat transformers, and I just wanted to talk about these while we're up here in the daylight, rather than getting underground like those fucking rollers in that other video. The first one's a power transformer, you know, the input to the amp. I really like this amp for a very good reason, and I like the Tourmaster for the same reason as well. I'm going to cover that. The second one is the output transformer, which is a no name. It says Tweaker 40 output transformer, ROS compliant, it says on. Nice, what's wrong with that? But I want to come back to this input one, this power transformer. This has been made by, you've heard of that company, Mercury Magnetics, over in the States. It says here they are in Charlesworth, California. Charlesworth. Now That name's probably come from England at one time. You know, you get them settlers going over there. Sounds like, oh, good afternoon, Charlesworth type of thing. It's an English thing, isn't it? Like the tea. Anyway, it's a big fat transformer, and the best thing about that is this amp is switchable between 115 volts and 230 or 240, I forget which, but they'll both work. That side of the pond for 115, this side for 230/40, and Europe. And Australia probably. Yeah, why not? G'day. So, Mercury Magnetics, let's have a chat about them a second. You know, over the years I've done a lot of mods to amplifiers, and I did do a mod, well, I did a couple of mods which involved Mercury, magnetics that is. The other stuff makes your hair fall out. But they have these transformers, the input and the output transformers, and they say that, oh yeah, these make your amp sound much better. You'll hear the difference. Really? Well, I do know that the Mercury Magnetics, they say are American. They probably are. They ought to be at the price. They're not cheap. And they're bigger. You get more metal and things like that. Metal. Slap shirt. Was the last guy who argued, see? I'm going to zoom in close, as we always do. Have a real good poke around in here without actually taking any of these boards out, because I do want to keep. Okay, well, here we are. It's all looking nice. It's looking quite nice, actually. Here I am. Look. Anyway, let's draw your attention to where we're at. Front, back. Power inputs there. You can see. Tweaker arm. After all, it is a tweaker. And what's really great about it, it really is a tweaker. Because on the back at the top here, as you'll get to see in a short while, it's got this voltage switch right there. And these wires come off and go back inside and outside the power amp. Power transformer. These wires here go inside and outside the power transformer, and they switch in and out different windings so you can get different voltages for different countries. That's really cool. It says on here 115, or I think it's 230. Let's just take a look. Yeah, 230 volts and a 250 volt fuse, it says there. Nice. But I noticed something else. There's a spare wire. Well, what does it do? Well, I don't really know. I haven't looked at the manual for this thing. I haven't even, done any homework on it at all, because I'm getting a bit beyond looking at all the homework that other people tell me. I don't really want to continue to sit here reading books all day. But anyway, there's your power transformer, and you can see it spreads off all around the board, comes in here, and the output goes out down that end, in this end, out that end. Or does it? Actually, it goes out in the middle, right there. There indeed, if anybody can see that. So this little board here is for output, down there's for input, voltage that is. That's where the speakers are, they're on this little board. Speaking of boards, we've got one for that little output. Got one behind it that's got the power transformers on it. Yeah, this one here. Right there. Right, one there. And there's one there. So you've got them two. And on the very same board, you've actually got 1, 2 preamp tubes. So we've got 2 power, 2 preamp. And this board here, further along, about there, you can see down, I'll put it on the top board, about there, just underneath this one, it's that other tube, preamp style tube. It might be used for other things. You've also got this little board here, which looks after all that switching on the front, which we're going to see in a little while. So we've got a daughter board for that, as they say. All very nice. Well, at least that's what I say. I think it's really nice. I like that switching of the voltages. There's the input for the guitar at that end. See it? Right there. and it's all nice. One thing I did notice, just looking up there, if you can see it, there's two little red things, and that's where you bias the amp. And if you look there, assuming you guys can see that, right there is the little VR, you know, the variable resistor that allows you to rebias the amp. And one thing I did notice when I shine my torch up there on this little section, you can't see it, it's way up here, and it says 6L6 or EL34, adjust VR1 to measure 65 millivolts DC between TP1 and TP2. So what that's telling you really is you can put EL34s in or 6L6s in. Nice. That's another one of them little tweaks. It's probably in the manual, but I had to read it up there to find it. Let's just talk about that while we're doing it, shall we? Yeah, rectifier. So we've got a silicone. Silicone's what my missus has got, I think. No, anyway, that's the rectifier. So it's a non-tube rectifier. So you like them, don't you? Yeah, one thing it doesn't have, even though it's got the sort of CE and ROSH compliance on it, which is absolutely a requirement for Europe, and I can tell you now that the ROSH compliance part of all this is actually state by state being fed out in America. I know that you know, it's going to hit you hard when it does, if it hasn't already done. And ROSH compliance is going to be a fact of life. Enough of this frivolousness. That's a great word, isn't it? I'm going to flip it back over in a second. There's not really much else to talk about, but you can see yourself. You look at the quality of it. Maybe I'll just zoom the camera in so we can have a look at some of these tubes and how they've been soldered in place or soldered in place. One last thing is these pots on the front. They actually mount onto the PCB direct, which is a very, very common thing these days. I haven't seen this type before, but these are little ones about like so big, tiny little things, and they fix on the board, and that's that. Just before I do move on, I did say I'd let you have a quick look at a couple of places inside. You can see the quality there, very nice. Let's just scan it around a bit. Let me move the camera, it's easier. You take a look at the quality overall, it's quite nice. See all that? Move on a little bit back to the back of that board. It's another good example. You can see the soldering. Actually, it's quite nice. There's nothing bad about any of that. I always like to have a good look around those tubes though, you know, because often that's where you'll get trouble. I don't know how close I can get, but that's about the limit. There you go. You can see how it's soldered. Quite nice. Let's flip it over. Well, there you go. Here we are around the top. Like I said, Mercury Magnetics power transformer. Big, fat and chunky, nice that is, and it's probably because it's dual voltage and all that stuff. There's the output transformer, a no-name thing. It might be made by these boys, but doesn't really say anything, so don't hold your breath on that one. Here's the tube sockets, and those tube sockets do look as if they're chassis mounted, but actually they're not. They go straight through onto the PCB. A lot of people talk about them being dodgy in some way because they're not actually on the chassis itself. But honestly, because this amp sits this way up, you know, hot air rises, it doesn't go down, so your chances of problems on these pretty remote. All three tubes, we had two here and one on the other board, if you remember. So this is the preamp board, and that's the other board, whatever it is. There they are. They've all shielded. It does say on the PCB V1, V2 and V3, or V1, V2 and V1 for some obscure reason. They'll know why, I don't. Okay, I think it's time for me to put everything back, and then we'll have a look at the front and back of the amp. Here's a quick view of something I never really talk about. The box. This one looks as if it's made of ply. You see the levels of it there. It's been stuck around very nice on the finish as well. Very nice indeed, really. It's got all the nice stuff. You can see it there. Yeah, looks nice on the front. So overall, it looks a really nice case. It doesn't look cheap, and it's one of the things that makes me think that maybe this one wasn't made in China. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. Don't really care. All I can tell you is, in either case, whether it is or it isn't Chinese, the quality is first rate. Well, here we are around the front, all thrown back together. Sorry, built. Sorry, assembled. I get worse. But you know what I'm on about. Anyway, what have we got? Well, we've got on, standby and play. I just thought standby or on would have been nice, but don't worry. They work. You just heard them. We then got a master 1 and a master 2. It's a 2-channel amp, it appears. Well, it is. We've got a shared treble, middle and bass. Bass, yeah. We've got a gain 1 section and we've got a gain 2 section. We've got a little button for channel select for when you left that pedal. I'll show you later somewhere. And we've got a bit of an input. And it says tweaker 40. Sounds all good. Let's just have another run along now and take a look at the switches. But this Master 1, it's a little bit, reminds me somewhat of like a Mesa Boogie. You got vintage or modern. Well, on my Road King 2, if that sounds anything like the vintage on my Road King 2, channel 3, whoa, awesome. But then again, it may not be. It may sound crap. You've got a little green LED there and a little red LED there, by the way, so you can see which channel you're on. You've got a gain 1 and a gain 2, green and red again. You can see what's going on. On Master 2, we've got, again, the vintage and modern switch. Quite good. Then we move on to this treble, middle and bass. What you've got here, if you can see that, is this actually sort of voices the amp, they say, I think that's what they said when I looked on his website. So we can voice it for USA, for AC, no, wrong one. Or British. Well, we know what British is. We know what USA is, and this AC here is I thought it was an AC Cobra, or Cobra. I was wrong. It's one of them AC 30 things. Never really was a fan of them, but there you go. Some people like them. Treble, middle, bass, and then we move on to gain 1, which is the same as gain 2, I think. Looks it. Let's look at these. We've got tight or deep, one or the other. Bright or normal. That's my stomach, by the way. Don't worry about it. It'll go away eventually. Hot or clean. Hot, yeah. Mid-cut or normal. And the same on this one. And that's the end of the front. That was easy, wasn't it? Let's take a look around the back. Like a lot of amps that you find, these smaller things, often you don't find much around the back. I don't know. Well, what have we got? We've got some good things on this and some not quite good things on it. One of the first good things is this one here. This one says 115 volts or 230, and if you unscrew them screws there and flip the switch one way or the other, it's all good for wherever you are. The only thing is, as always, don't flip it to 110 and plug it in just to see if it sounds, see if it gives you a browner sound. No, and don't flip it to 240 and put 500 in it. I don't know. Whatever you do, stick to what it says. Flip it whichever way, not with it turned on, by the way. That'd screw it straight away. And away you go. That saves you a fortune. Honestly, they should all be like that one. You've got a fuse in here, by the way. In that. Then we move on to another fuse. There he is. F500. Roche compliant. CE approved. Stomach's really on the way tonight, guys. I don't know what it is. Foot switch. Effects. Or channel. I'll show you the foot switch in a bit. We've got the output for the speakers. We've got 4, 8 or 16 ohms. Quite nice. You can just flip it where you want. What could you ask for? You've got loads of this little bits of information, warning this and all that stuff. Don't worry about it. We've got an effects loop with a level on it, which is either line level or instrument level. Nice. That's quite nice. The only problem is there's no way of balancing it. That's a bit of a shortcoming. They just had a little balancer on there, or even just for the input or something. I don't know. So that's round the back. You can see them big fat tubes in there. They're like a couple of lions try and get out the cage. Awesome. The build's fantastic. Let's whip back up top. I'm back. Relaxed. Did I show you my new haircut? No. What have you been missing? I don't know what I'm missing, but it's gone somewhere. Don't worry about it. Might get even worse or better. I don't know. It'll be back. The haircut scene, remember it. Well, here I am back round the top. Nice. In fact, it's very nice. That's the problem with these videos that I make. It all goes so quick, doesn't it? If you actually sit and watch them all the way through, you think, God, that's a long video when you see it before you start. And then all of a sudden, here we are at the end. There's only a few things left to do, isn't there? One is turn it on. That's good. Another one, it'll warm the studio up somewhat. I like that too. That's why I've got tube amps. Can you imagine us just having those simulators in there? You freeze to death. And you think I'm kidding. No, I'm not. We go in there and put the amps on to keep the place warm. Now, I don't know how many of these he sold, but I'll bet you he sold a few. You know, it's priced, well, in the UK I think it was about 800 quid new. That's about $1,200. But it was probably about $800 in the USA. That's usually the way it works. And it was probably worth the money at the time, so they could have sold a lot, or they could have sold a few. I don't really know. But it's got 40 watts on it, which is quite nice. We've got loads of little tweakers. We've got the ability to put EL34s or 6L6s in there, which I also like. That's a very good idea. It's done on all our amps, but you wouldn't think it'd be done on one that was relatively low cost like this. This thing, you can tweak all day. And if you get really fed up with those simulators, which you could do, particularly some of them, you can come to this and tweak this instead. Well, I tell you this, even if you're tweaking this like this, you know, as you do, it's nothing near to the 8 hours that you put behind one sound on some of them others. Just before I do go, here's the Tweaker 40 pedal we were talking about. Comes with it, it's got a nice long lead on it, it's just like a stereo on the end. What's it do? It says, choose the channel and choose the effects. Boring, but that's what you get, and it's free. And that's definitely made in China. Anyway, we're at the end of it. It's gonna go into the studio, because it's a bit loud for in here, or it could be. It's gonna be turned on, it's gonna be played. A little bit of clean stuff and a bit of heavier stuff and a bit of... I'll tweak it a bit. Maybe I'll stick 2 or 3 little bits of video together with different settings so that you get a better idea of what can come out of it. That's a good idea. A lot of people do that. I want, I want to, as always, to really show you more of the amp than just watch people playing, because you can watch them all day. They're all over the place. That'd be better than me. So what? They don't do what I do. Fancy that. Egnater tweaker. It's going to be reviewed on my website. Loads of text from what I find, and we'll go from there. Oh, I forgot to photograph it inside as well. Doesn't matter. I'll get some pictures from someone. My own, of course. So don't steal mine. But don't forget to go to www.TonyMckenzie.com, where you can see all my other reviews, or my YouTube channel. Well, I suppose you know where it is, but you might not. www.youtube.com/TonyMckenzie.com with no dot. And that'll get my channel. Last count was about 110 videos, so you've got a lot to look at. Go there. Trust me, it's worth it. Thanks for watching so far. Hope you watch the rest, which is coming up about now.